If you buy your chicken from the store, you've probably noticed how expensive different chicken products are. I don't normally like buying chicken from the store, but we've been eating a lot of wild game lately and not very much white meat at all. So I kind of wanted to change it up a bit and I decided to get some chicken. And this is how I buy my chicken. So I'm going to show you how I got over $100 worth of chicken for only $20. And these chickens were on sale for $5 a piece, which is probably pretty rare, but they're normally $10 a piece. So even if we said that we got over $100 worth of chicken for $40, it would still be a pretty big saving. So make sure you watch the video to find out how you're going to save that much money on chicken. And I will break down the prices at the end of the video for how much each chicken pack would cost if we bought it from the store, and also everything else that we got off of this chicken. I prefer to raise our own animals or hunt for our food, but it's not always possible. I don't love store-bought chicken, but I do try to buy the more naturally raised chickens when I am buying them from the store, and even those ones can be anywhere from $10 to $15 where I'm from, which really isn't that bad of a deal when you compare the price of how much a pack of just chicken breasts or legs or thighs cost. But if you pay attention and try to only buy them when they're on sale, you can get an even better deal. So like I said, I did buy these chickens on sale for $5 a piece and some change. So we're looking at just over $20 spent on these chickens. Let's just say $25 if you include tax. Where I'm from, a natural pack of chicken breasts, which is usually just two, is usually anywhere from $8 to $12, sometimes even more than that, which in my opinion is a lot. But we'll talk more about the prices later. Let's look at how to actually cut up this chicken. So as you can see, all that I did to start out was just take my knife and cut along both sides of the breastbone. After doing that, I just pick one side and just slowly trim the meat off of the chicken carcass. Now, for me, this is pretty easy because I'm used to cutting up my own animals and I know how to follow muscle groups, but if you don't know how to do this, it's still pretty simple. You just want to basically run your knife through any skin or anything that's holding it to the carcass and just try to get that whole breast chunk off in one piece. And if you notice, before I started cutting the breast off completely, I had cut another strip of chicken off that is naturally separated from the chicken breast, and that is a chicken tender. After that, I found the spot where I could cut the wing off, and you're not cutting through bones here, you're just cutting in between joints. So just try to find where it feels like is the right spot. If you have to go back and watch it again, then do so, because it is pretty simple, but I could see for somebody who has never done it before, it could be confusing. So now I'm going for the other breast, and I am taking the skin off. This makes it a lot easier to see what you're doing, and there's no reason to leave the skin on the breast. If you want to save the skin for something, you can. I decided not to save the skin in this case, just because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it, so I just fed it to the animals. So it still didn't totally go to waste. So again, as you can see here, I'm just slowly cutting the meat away from the carcass, and there will be little bits of meat left on the carcass. That's okay. You're not going to be able to get every single little piece, but I'll show you what we're going to do about that at the end. And here you can see the chicken tender just naturally wants to peel off. So you'll just have to cut a little strip of it where it separates from the breast. You could remove that all in one piece, but I just decided it was easier to trim that off while it was coming off. That way it didn't get in the way. And then as you can see here, the chicken breast peels right off of the skin. You don't even have to cut the skin. There's just one little spot left at the top that you need to kind of cut off, and then it pretty much just comes right out of there. So now I'm going to cut the other wing right off. As you can see, it comes right off. There is a little spot in the joint where it just comes apart that you can run your knife right through. And now we're going to go for the thighs and the legs, which this part is a little bit trickier, but it's still not that bad. Here I am trying to remove excess skin because the skin does tend to get in the way, and I did want to leave the skin on my thighs, but I didn't want to have the excess skin, so I cut that off. And as you can see here, it's the same idea as with the breast. You're just cutting it away from the carcass, and when it comes to separating the joint, you just kind of pop it out and cut around it, and it just comes off. And also, I am using a fillet knife. I like to use a fillet knife for any kind of meat deboning or cutting that I'm doing because they seem to hold their edge pretty well, and they also can get into the smaller places. So here we are, I am cutting and I see the joint there, so now I am just cutting around it, and that is what is separating the chicken thigh from the rest of the carcass. And again, don't worry about the bits of meat that are going to be left on the carcass because we will be doing something with that later, and it will not be going to waste. So now we're going to set the carcasses aside, and it's time to remove the leg from the thigh, and this is how simple it is. You just start cutting around it, and you will feel your knife hitting a bone. You want to look for that bone and the joint where it will just pop right out of there. And then I also opted to debone these thighs. This is optional, but I just didn't want to deal with any bones. So it's pretty simple there too. You just start cutting around the bone and peeling the meat off of the bone. And I just threw the bones in with the carcasses because we're going to make something out of that later. So you are looking at 2 chickens worth of meat here. There are 4 tenders, 4 breasts, 4 thighs, 4 wings, and 4 legs. But we're not done yet. Let's move on and I'll show you what we do with the carcasses first. And this is probably the most money-saving part of this whole thing. If you haven't figured out what we're doing with these carcasses yet, we are going to make chicken broth with them. And in order to do that, we need to roast them. So we are seasoning them very well and throwing some garlic in there, and we're going to throw them in the oven. You can also throw any veggie scraps that you have in there as well. I didn't have any, so we're just sticking with garlic. We are going to be roasting these until they are cooked through. This just helps with the flavor. So while those are roasting, let's talk about the price breakdown of all of this. I ended up doing 4 chickens total, and I paid just over $20 after tax for those chickens. That means I had 4 packs of 2 chicken breasts, 1 large pack of chicken tenders, 1 pack of 8 drumsticks and 8 wings, and 1 pack of 8 thighs. And then I got 8 quarts of broth. So the amount of chicken that I got today was worth approximately $81. I bought these chickens on sale for $5 a piece plus tax, so approximately $23. And if I would have bought these chickens not on sale, they would have been about $55. These prices are for the natural chickens. If you buy the regular ones, everything would be a little bit cheaper. But it just goes to show how much money you can save by doing something simple yourself instead of buying chicken that's already cut up and prepackaged. I believe these are all great skills to have. So if you enjoy seeing videos like this, please make sure to like and subscribe.